Let me tell you something powerful before we even get started. What makes a man valuable is not what he gives away, it's what he protects. In this world, people respect mystery more than they respect too much honesty. When you reveal everything, you give away your leverage. When you hold back, you give people a reason to respect your silence. The first thing a man should never reveal is the depth of his weaknesses. Every man has struggles, moments where he feels broken, times when the pressure almost takes him under. That's natural. But a man's job is to carry his battles with discipline until he overcomes them. Because the world doesn't respect excuses, it respects results. If you open every wound before it's healed, you allow people to see you as fragile when you were designed to be resilient. Silence while working makes the victory louder when it's finally revealed. The second thing a man should never reveal is the dirt of his past mistakes in detail. Everybody has chapters they don't read out loud, moments where they failed, times when they weren't proud of their choices. Sharing too much about your past doesn't free you. It traps you in people's judgment. Understand that your past is a place of reference, not residence. What matters is who you became after those mistakes, not the play-by-play of how you fell. Keep the lessons, not the scars, on display. The third thing a man should never reveal is his entire vision before it's built. Dreams are fragile in the beginning. They're like seeds. If you expose them too early, they can be stepped on before they take root. A man's mission, his strategy, his next move, these are treasures that need protection. You don't need applause while you're planting. You need focus until the harvest comes. When you unveil your plan after it's solid, it speaks for itself. Until then, guard it with silence and discipline. So remember this. Every man must learn the art of silence in certain places, not because you're hiding, but because you're protecting. Protect your weaknesses until they turn into strengths. Protect your past by transforming it into wisdom. Protect your vision until it becomes reality. People talk a lot about trust, about openness, about being transparent in everything you do. But let me tell you something real. Too much exposure kills respect. The more you hand out pieces of yourself without limits, the less valuable you appear. Think about diamonds. They're precious not just because they shine, but because they're rare, guarded, and difficult to reach. If diamonds were laying around on every corner, nobody would chase them, nobody would pay for them, nobody would admire them. The same applies to a man. Mystery is part of your value. Not every detail of your life, not every thought in your mind, not every struggle in your heart needs to be placed on the table for everyone to dissect. The people who respect you the most are not the ones who know every single secret about you. They're the ones who can sense that you stand for something, that there are boundaries they cannot cross, that you don't let them into every room of your soul. Respect grows in the shadows of what is not said. A man who reveals everything loses his edge. A man who knows how to hold back creates curiosity, and curiosity always leads to value. I remember hearing an old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. It means the closer people get to your private world, the less they value it. When you tell a woman every single insecurity, every single failure, every single weakness before you've healed from it, you're not building trust. You're building an image of fragility. It doesn't mean you have to pretend to be perfect. It means you have to be disciplined with what you expose. And when you expose it, there's a story of a king who once had a treasure hidden deep in his castle. Every time a visitor came, he would boast about it, open the doors, and show the gold. With time, thieves studied his habits, studied his openness, and one night they robbed him clean. The lesson is simple. When you show everything, you invite people to use what they know against you. Mystery is not about hiding, it's about protecting. Mystery also creates space for respect in relationships. When you tell a woman everything too early, you take away the journey of discovery. Think about it, what keeps people invested in a good book or movie? The unknown, the twists they didn't expect, the layers that get revealed over time. If a story gave away the ending in the first chapter, would anyone stay around? The same applies to you. Your life should unfold in layers, not in one confession. People value what they earn the right to learn about you, not what you give away too quickly. But let's go deeper. Respect doesn't come from silence alone. It comes from mastering your silence. Some men stay quiet because they have nothing to say. That's not power. Power is having much to say, but choosing the right moment, the right words, the right audience. That's when silence becomes strategy, not weakness. Now let's shift into the second truth. Weakness must be managed, not broadcast. Every man has struggles. Every man has days where the weight of the world feels too heavy, where the noise of doubt is louder than the voice of faith. That's part of being human. But what separates men who grow from men who collapse is how they handle that weakness. You can't use your pain as a badge you flash to gain sympathy. Pain is meant to be transformed into strength, not traded for attention. When you put your struggles on the table too soon, especially in front of someone you're trying to build respect with, you hand them the power to judge you. You hand them the power to see you as less. And people rarely forget what you tell them in moments of weakness. Words may fade, but impressions last. If the first picture you paint of yourself is one of brokenness, it's difficult to repaint it later as one of strength. That's why it's better to handle your weaknesses in silence until you've turned them into testimonies. There's a powerful lesson from nature. When a snake sheds its skin, it hides. It doesn't do it in the open. It finds a safe place because in that moment it's vulnerable, soft or weaker. If it exposes itself during that process, it could be attacked and destroyed. But when the shedding is complete, it comes out sharper, faster, and renewed. A man's weaknesses are like that shedding process. You don't expose them while you're in transition. You protect yourself. You work in silence, and when the process is complete, you emerge stronger, sharper, harder to attack. People often mistake vulnerability for strength. They think if they open up about every single flaw, every single insecurity, it shows courage. But let's be real, raw vulnerability without discipline is just bleeding in front of an audience. Courage isn't showing your wounds before they heal. Courage is carrying them in silence until they're scars that tell a story of victory. There's a quote I once heard, "Don't let the world watch you struggle. Let the world watch you succeed." Weakness is not a place you live in publicly. It's a place you work in privately. A man should learn to manage his battles in the gym, in his journal, in his grind, in his silence. Because once you've managed them, then you can share them as wisdom, not as excuses. Nobody respects excuses, but everybody respects wisdom. Think about the men who inspire you the most. They didn't build their influence by crying out their weaknesses in every conversation. They built it by conquering their weaknesses in the dark and presenting their strength in the light. And when they finally spoke about their struggles, they did it from a position of victory, not victimhood. That's the difference between being petite and being respected. Let me give you a story. There was a boxer training for the biggest fight of his career. In camp, he broke his hand. If he told the world, the media, or even his opponent, they would have seen him as finished. Instead, he trained around it, fought through it, and on fight night, he won. After the fight, when asked about his hand, he smiled and said, "I wasn't about to give my opponent the playbook to beat me." That's how you treat your weaknesses. You manage them in silence until they can no longer be used against you. Life works the same way. A man must treat his struggles as sensitive information. Not everyone deserves to know what you're battling. Not everyone deserves access to your fears. Share your growth, share your victory, share the wisdom gained from the pain. But don't hand people the blueprint to break you. Silence is not hiding. Silence is healing. Mystery is not deception. Mystery is protection. These two truths work together to build respect. You keep mystery around your life by not giving away everything too soon, and you manage weakness by turning it into wisdom before it leaves your mouth. So if you're listening to this and wondering what to do with the battles you're fighting right now, here's the advice. Carry them with discipline. Write it down, pray it out, grind it out, work it out. But don't bleed your struggle in every conversation, especially with a woman you're trying to build respect with. Protect your process until your process produces results. At the end of the day, people respect strength. They respect discipline. They respect the man who can fight battles in silence and still walk with his head high. And when the time is right, when you've turned that weakness into wisdom, then you speak, not as a victim, but as a victim. Not as a man seeking pity, but as a man offering perspective. That's how you hold your value. That's how you keep your respect. That's how you make your silence speak louder than your words. People love to remind you of who you were. They'll hold your mistakes like trophies, like souvenirs of your failures, because it makes them feel better about their own flaws. But here's the truth. Your past doesn't define you. What defines you is what you build today and what you're moving toward tomorrow. The biggest mistake a man can make is to drag his past into his present, to keep rehearsing old wounds in new chapters. When you do that, you create doubt where there should be trust. Every man has a history. Every man has moments he's not proud of. Times when he failed, times when he made reckless choices, times when he betrayed his own potential. That's human. But what separates growth from stagnation is the ability to let those chapters remain closed. When you keep bringing up the past, especially in new relationships, you create an invisible chain that holds you back. You start living like you're still on trial, defending yourself against crimes you already served time for. Imagine carrying a backpack full of rocks everywhere you go. Each rock represents a mistake, a failure, a regret. You enter a new room, but you can't stand tall because the weight is crushing you. That's how it feels when you carry your past into every situation. You're not giving people a chance to meet the man you are now. You're forcing them to interact with the man you used to be. A man must learn to transform his past into lessons, not luggage. If you cheated, if you lied, if you failed, learn from it, but don't build your identity around it. Don't let it follow you like a shadow. You owe yourself the right to evolve. You owe yourself the chance to say, that was me then, but this is me now. People may never forget what you did, but they will respect what you become if you prove it through consistency. There's a story about a sculptor who worked with a block of marble. The marble was cracked, ugly, and discarded by others, but the sculptor saw potential in it. After months of chiseling, that same block of marble became a masterpiece. When people looked at it, they no longer saw the cracks, they saw the beauty. That's how your past works. The cracks don't matter if you carve yourself into something greater. Never let your old wounds bleed into your new bonds. A woman doesn't want to constantly hear about the pain you endured from someone before her. She doesn't want to carry the weight of another person's mistakes. She wants to experience you as you are now, not as the broken man you were then. If you keep bringing old hurt into new love, you poison the soil before the seed can grow. Learn to separate the past from the present. Heal it, grow from it, but don't drag it along. That brings us to another principle. A man's vision must be guarded. Your goals, your strategies, your dreams, they are fragile in the beginning. Too fragile to be exposed to careless opinions, jealousy, or doubt. You must protect your vision like a seed planted in the soil. When it's still small, it can be stepped on, drowned out, or stolen. Only when it's rooted, only when it's strong should you reveal it. The mistake too many men make is speaking too soon. They talk about what they're building before it's built. They announce moves they haven't finished. They hand people a blueprint to tear down before the foundation is even set. That's dangerous. Not everyone clapping for you is cheering for you. Some are clapping to keep you distracted while they plot. Others are silently hoping you fail because your growth threatens their comfort. There's the story of Joseph in ancient times. He had a dream that he would rise above his brothers, that he would be in a position of leadership. Instead of holding it close, he spoke too soon. His brothers, filled with jealousy, sold him into slavery. The dream was real, but the timing of his revelation was wrong. The lesson is timeless. Your vision is not for everybody, and it's not for every moment. Guard it until it's undeniable. A man's mission should be protected with discipline. Think of a chess player. He doesn't announce his moves to his opponent. He studies the board, calculates the strategy, and only moves when it strengthens his position. That's how you treat your goals. Quiet grind, loud results. Speak when it's solid, not when it's fragile. Guarding your vision also means filtering who you share it with. Not every ear deserves access to your plans. Some people will water your ideas, others will poison them. A wise man knows the difference. Surround yourself with those who encourage progress, not those who laugh at ambition. And even then, keep parts of your vision tucked away because some things are meant to be revealed only through execution. There's a saying, work in silence, let success make the noise. That's not just a catchy phrase, it's survival. In a world where envy is real, privacy becomes protection. When people see the result, they can't kill the seed anymore because it's already a tree. When you guard your vision, you also guard your energy. Talking too much about your goals creates the illusion of progress. You feel satisfied because you spoke it, but speaking isn't the same as building. Silence forces you to act because you can't live off applause you never asked for. So here's the connection. Don't let your past hold you hostage, and don't let your future be sabotaged. The past should stay behind you, and the future should be protected until it's strong enough to stand on its own. One weighs you down, the other pulls you forward, but only if you handle them wisely. The man who drags his past around looks weak, and the man who speaks his future too soon looks unprepared. But the man who learns to bury his past mistakes and guard his future vision stands unshakable. He moves with wisdom, with patience, with strategy. He doesn't waste energy defending old failures or explaining future plans. He focuses on execution, on becoming, on proving through action. Close your old chapters without dragging them into the new ones. Protect your future chapters until the ink is dry. That's how you build respect. That's how you build trust. That's how you keep control over your story. Your past doesn't define you. It refines you. Your vision doesn't need an audience. It needs action. Handle both with discipline, and you'll stand as a man who is not chained to yesterday or weakened by tomorrow's premature exposure, but as a man rooted in today, building silently, moving strategically, and revealing only when it's undeniable. Closing this out, let me leave you with this thought. Strength isn't proven by how much you reveal. It's proven by how much you can withhold until the time is right. A man's mystery is part of his power, and his silence is part of his respect. Move like that, and you'll never have to chase validation, because the world will see your value in your actions, not your confessions.